Welcome to the Mindset Channel. We get together to talk about life and find purpose and really develop some mindset tools that will help us get some traction in our life and in our faith, especially. So today's topic is collecting, and I'd like to just talk about a couple of things that maybe you might find resonate with you in your heart. I have been just an advocate for mindset once I realized that that was really the rudder for my life. That was really the thing that I could either get control over or just be thrown about by the wind. Because I spent many, many years just letting my emotions and my thoughts kind of be at the whim of my circumstances and life. And really, I was drowning. I mean, it was just, I was getting just tossed about. It was not fun. I was not having fun. And I kept hearing about, oh, well, as Christians, we're supposed to have this abundant life. And I was not experiencing that abundant life. So I found some tools that were just really helpful. And when I saw this idea of collecting this morning, I just really had some thoughts that I think that we will find helpful in helping us where the rubber meets the road in our life today and throughout the next week. So the thought came to my mind is we can collect things intentionally or unintentionally. And the first thing that came to my mind was when we go on vacations and when we travel, are you one of those people that likes to collect souvenirs and bring them home? And we collect them, right? We collect souvenirs from places that we visit, especially when they have wonderful memories attached to them. So we can collect souvenirs and we can collect memories. Well, my husband and I have kind of shifted that a little bit, and we've decided to be more intentional about collecting memories and souvenirs from things that have brought, from memories and situations that have brought us breakthrough or taken us deeper in our relationship with each other or our relationship with the Lord. And so collecting intentionally and unintentionally can apply to souvenirs and to memories and things and milestones. The other thing I thought of is the difference between collecting and hoarding. Now, collecting really, you can end up with a house full of stuff. I mean, it can be a lot of stuff to dust over the years. But there's also the danger of falling into this hoarding thing because at some point, the stuff that we thought was so valuable in the moment and we wanted to save really just doesn't hold the value that it did before. And the hoarding becomes an obstacle in our lives. And that's not healthy either. The next thing I thought about was how we collect unintentionally negative thoughts about ourselves, about situations. And those negative thoughts, when we collect them, they really take up a lot of mental space and they impact our attitudes and our actions. And as those negative thoughts begin to really infiltrate and drive our attitudes and our actions, they lead to unhealthy collections of decisions. And I have my share of unhealthy decisions that I collected over the decades until I learned to manage what I collected, to manage my thoughts. So the encouragement today is to pay attention to your thoughts, to take time each day to reflect on your thoughts. Like the thing that worked for me that maybe you might find helpful is just to really reflect at the end of the day. If you're not a fan of journaling, just grab a piece of paper and just start to make some notes on what kinds of things did I think about today? What were the repeated patterns in my self-talk? Because when you collect those repeated patterns, then you can start to see the collections that you have. And when you have collections that are healthy, you can make a decision to say, oh, okay, I'm going to collect more in this category because these are healthy thought collections. And when you have collections that are unhealthy or a little bit more negatively driven, then what worked for me that may work for you is I took time to kind of reflect on where those unhealthy collection started. I had some dialogue, in my heart, in my quiet time with the Lord. And I was just like, Lord, please show me where these unhealthy collections started so that I can go back and maybe do some forgiveness. And we'll talk about that later. Forgiveness is a huge way to just release yourself, to free yourself. It's really not about letting the other person off the hook. It's about giving yourself the release so that you can break free from all that stuff. We'll talk about that later. But when we get back to the root of those unhealthy thought collections, then we can begin to figure out how we can kind of manage them a little bit. We manage our thoughts so that they don't manage us. And then finally, I just want to encourage you to replace those negative thought patterns with more healthy thought patterns, kind of ones that are more grounded in truth. And this is what we talk about a lot in our identity workshops, that we can replace those negative things with positive things. So you never are leaving your mind open to be like, oh, I don't know what to think about. But instead you can say, you know what? That may or may not be true, but what I do know is true is that I am a daughter of the King. I am worthy. Jesus died for me. So if I'm thinking a negative thought about myself, because unworthiness was something I just collected over the decades, but then I can replace it with, no, I know that God has told me that I'm worthy. So I'm just going to start there. And then just let that process begin to grow in that direction. So I hope you're blessed by this. We're going to talk more about identity and really how to get traction in our faith and in our life so that we can live that abundant life. We can live life on purpose instead of letting it live on us. I'm Ann B. Say. Have a beautiful day. We'll talk to you next week.